Markiplier is a titan of the YouTube gaming community on top of being one of the most popular independently owned channels. But unlike so many other creators over 10 million subscribers, Markiplier is almost unanimously loved by the general populace. On a platform where the top users are usually rich, egotistical, hateable Hollywood inserts, Markiplier is somewhat of an oddity. He grew popular by posting Let's Play content at a point where the algorithm had coincidentally shifted to favor it. But despite this being the source of his monetary success and name recognition, his kind-hearted reputation was a result of how he carried himself within these videos, and the inclusivity he promoted outside of them.
Because I don't place value in things, I place value in people.
The manner in which he spoke about his fans and how he viewed YouTube entirely helped instill a strong sense of community within his audience.
Literally. And I'll prove it.
But it was his verbiage in particular that drove the point home, because he never directly equates himself to this community's leader, quote unquote.
I am a doofy, pantsless gamer from podunk nowhere, and somehow I managed to amass a community that was recognized.
As opposed to a lot of ego-driven YouTubers out there, Markiplier doesn't frame his audience to be a virtual high score or a means of expressing superiority.
Yay, I got lots of subs. My subs are growing. I'll get to 1 million on HotTube real quick.
But rather, he treats it as a family of sorts that he must continuously extend emotional support to, as well as a tool to extend similar support to others on a much wider scale.
I know there's people that need me. And I want to be there for them so badly. I do. I want to bear the burden for them. I would bear it.
When he addresses his large subscriber count, it's always done so in a manner that takes the focus off himself.
Anyone can do what I have done.
And makes the individual viewer watching feel as if they themselves are an equally important part of a strong and positive community that is directly making an impact on the world, which comes off as selfless and reflects positively on him as a result. And even more so when compared to how similarly sized channels treat their own fans.
As much as it may feel like you're a passive viewer, you're on board in this community. We're all here together.
It was this mentality that allowed Mark to become as widely loved as he has, combined with the fact that he consistently organizes events such as charities, which give a direct outlet for the group power that he emphasizes so much.
There's a live stream going on right now, and you're not watching it!
This is still up, by the way.
And that was it, because I used to make these stupid videos like when we were doing live streams on Twitch, and yet, like, this is still up here. Like, so if someone watched it, like, what the fuck are they looking at? Like, why is this immortalized?
And while it's not unheard of for large channels to treat their fan base in this manner, Markiplier is one of the most easily recognizable examples of it. So that being said, let's just coin this the Markiplier mentality. The concrete definition for which will be viewing one's fans as a community of people that can and should be used as a tool for positive means, both for the members within it, as well as those outside it. The one who acquired this fan base, however, is seen only as its humble guide rather than leader, and despite being responsible for this community, that individual is interchangeable and the audience they have acquired says nothing about their character or personal value. Granted, if a person were to follow this thought process, it would be more than easy to drop the latter half of the definition and see themselves as an extremely kind and charitable person for the positive role they see themselves having in other people's lives. But regardless, when taking Mark's words at face value, this is how the Markiplier mentality would be defined. Now, it's debatable whether or not this is how Mark himself actually views his fans, or whether it's just an intentional act to please the masses.
Shares have been a little low this month. I don't know if you guys knew that.
And while I can't point to any specific example, rumors have circulated that Mark is somewhat egotistical in regards to his success, which does clash a bit with how he chooses to portray himself publicly. It wouldn't be surprising for anyone in his position, but it's hearsay at this point because it's unconfirmed and that's not where the problems lie anyway. Whether or not the Markiplier mentality is something Mark himself truly believes or not is irrelevant because the issues lie with the impact that it's had. Markiplier himself may or may not be greedy, ego-driven, or any number of things, though no one knows for sure. But this should highlight the fact that the Markiplier mentality can be an easy means of masking a person's true intention when pursuing fame on YouTube. Mark might be genuine, but the mentality he helped pioneer on YouTube has become extremely widespread and not everyone will be using it genuinely. What I mean by this is it's all too common for YouTubers of all sizes to say things like, I'm building a community, or I want to have a positive impact on other people, and have this be a thinly veiled excuse to hide the fact that they just want to be surrounded by a group of people who admire them while retaining enough separation to not have to do anything in return. There's a psychological principle called cognitive dissonance, which is a feeling of mental discomfort one gets when they hold two conflicting beliefs. Typically, people will try as hard as they can to relieve this discomfort by either changing one of these conflicting beliefs or inventing logic that allows them to keep both without letting them contradict. In a way, this is what the Markiplier mentality allows for. YouTube has gotten a reputation for being a place where anyone can gain both widespread fame and money, which inevitably draws people in. But humans don't naturally want to think of themselves as greedy or attention-seeking, so they'll attempt to relieve this cognitive dissonance by justifying the fact that they want to become a YouTuber for other reasons. And that's where the Markiplier mentality comes in. In a way, it's the perfect scapegoat because not only can you use it to consciously convince yourself that you're not making videos for fame or money, but you can frame it as if you're being a generous and moral person by building a community to help others. This is the common mantra a lot of small channels will do. They say they want to help people with depression by making them laugh and being a go-to source of entertainment. And obviously, yeah, that'd be heartwarming. But these YouTubers are lying to themselves that they think that's the biggest reason they're making content. If people who talked about this all the time truly cared about helping depressed people, there are a million ways they could extend help since there are countless support campaigns out there. But, oh right, I forgot, donating to charity won't get you thousands of fans who worship the ground you walk on. Plus, if these kind of people did donate to charities, it'd probably be clear as day because they'd plaster that shit on Twitter for weeks just to convince themselves they're decent people. But that being said, you might wonder what kind of channels I'm referring to, and given the fact that it's all impossible to tell whether Mark is being genuine, you might also wonder how I know these people are the fakest human beings alive. Well, let me break it down logically. If there was a person who truly saw YouTube as a means of acquiring fame or money,
this is Daydreamer87,
then going in, the type of content they would make would be fairly irrelevant because their motives don't stem from any genuine interest in the content or the joy of creating it. So, with that in mind, they'd probably just pursue making whatever types of videos require the least amount of effort and are best at grabbing massive amounts of views. To me, Let's Players, reaction channels, vloggers, streamers, and even podcasters come to mind. Now don't get it twisted, I'm not saying the majority, let alone everyone who makes these types of videos is a shallow, greedy person looking for fame. I just mean that if a person were looking for an easy format to jump into, these would be potential options because they aren't nearly as time-consuming as other types of content. And again, that's not to say this content is inherently lazy, since the channels that are most successful in their genre will typically go the extra mile to ramp things up for the sake of quality.
Quality entertainment.
But the people who go into it as a means of getting fame typically don't have passion for their craft, and upping the quality at the cost of putting out less videos will inevitably slow their potential growth.
I am the best of YouTube.
The reason I point to these genres in particular is because they have very few barriers to entry and can be done in a lazy manner.
Now, as you can already tell, these types of videos do not sound good.
Juxtapose that with something like animating, which even when done in the laziest manner possible still requires some level of skill, hard work, and dedication. At least more so than the majority of these people are willing to put forward. And if you wanted to spot these guys in a metaphorical crowd, they're the ones whose content was made with the idea of, let's see if I can just record myself doing something I already do on a daily basis, slap it up unedited on YouTube, and get famous. Hey, I play games all the time. Why not record it and make a career? Hey, I watch other people's videos all the time. Why not record myself doing it and milk the algorithm? Hey, I sleep every night. Why not stream it? Hey, I do things. Why not record it? If you ever watch a video and find yourself wondering why the person would have recorded it, since it's just stuff everyone does every day, with nothing new added in post and no unique spin taken, and no one in their right mind would bother watching it, well, it's because they want money. It's because they want to help people and have a positive impact while making content that, if anything, would probably worsen the mental state of anyone forced to watch it. And because, if they can make a video and do something they do daily at the same point in time, then why not? Less work for them, because they don't care about the videos themselves.
It's a poorly made video by some newbie wanting to get a bunch of hits on YouTube. It's not good.
An example of where to find these types of people is on crowdfunding sites, since they'll usually spend as little time and money of their own to further their YouTube aspirations. If you watch a lot of iDubbbz's old Kickstarter crap videos that were made during the Let's Play boom of YouTube, you'll see a lot of them. In this series, iDubbbz picks a bunch of mediocre crowdfunding sites to make fun of, and he'll often focus on amateur YouTube funding campaigns who tend to exhibit many of the traits in line with the subject afflicted by the Markiplier mentality.
This is our first e-beggar.
Now, I'm thinking movies, tech, latest events, reaction videos. I want the whole spectrum. Obviously, this is not a one-guy job. I want to build a community.
I care so much about building up a community.
Communities.
Well, if you're building a community...
Do you mind if I do a content cop on you?
Not at all in any way. Feel free.
Now you might wonder what all this has to do with Markiplier himself, since I haven't mentioned him directly for quite a while. And the answer is nothing, because he has no direct involvement in this, but has inadvertently given lazy channels a means of justifying themselves. Now look, there's nothing wrong with what he's saying or doing, and it's more of an unintended consequence of other people seeking out attention. But just keep this in mind. Most of the people who perpetuate the Markiplier mentality for their own selfish desires will eventually stop once the money piles up enough for them to gladly toss their morals to the side. That, or they fail and quit. Which is much more likely of an outcome, but the Markiplier mentality dies out either way if a person doesn't believe what they're saying. Because eventually they'll succeed and won't need it anymore, or the fact that they're not getting fame will drive them to quit. So I guess this vindicates Mark himself, unless he's all been doing it as a PR move. You know, if he's been doing it as a PR move since he hit, 10,000 subscribers, he really stuck to it. He kept it going for a long time if this was all an elaborate ruse to fool the audience. I'll give him props, either way. And yes, in Mark's case, he actually has stood by this philosophy by using his following to help raise money for charities and such, so I'm not trying to say that it's inherently a bad thing whether it's an act or not. But what I am trying to say is that it's an easy mentality to cling to when you're doing something like YouTube for the wrong reasons. You want to gain fame and attention while justifying it all to yourself by saying, no, I'm not a shallow attention whore, I'm doing YouTube to help people. I'm actually a great person. I'm doing it because I'm so selfless and kind. And the most ironic bit about this whole dilemma is that when a channel is just starting out, they're receiving the least amount of attention possible, and if they're operating under the Markiplier mentality, then they'll most likely quit before they get anywhere.
Now, obviously my highest viewed video is the Amnesia reaction compilation, because that video alone netted me 372 subscribers throughout the entirety of my channel's existence.
That was it? 3 weeks after that went viral, I still only had 928. And that's where this started. That's the work that it took.
They'll be doing the grunt work of uploading videos while not receiving the audience they want for one reason or another. Even if they are genuinely interested in helping people and aren't using it as some kind of cover, they still won't have the audience they want right off the bat.
Yeah, right.
So whether done for the right reasons or not, the user will still most likely quit. All because they view YouTube as a means to fame rather than a creative outlet. The videos themselves are seen as nothing but stepping stones to achieve success, so the content itself is deprioritized. If you yourself are afflicted with the Markiplier mentality and you want a healthier outlook, try this. Make videos because it's fun and expect to get nowhere, because most people do.
It's that simple.
That way you'll be able to go as long as you want, and if you are making good stuff, eventually you'll get lucky with the algorithm and be noticed long enough to gain an audience. And once you have an audience, just remember what they are. They're not a high score in a virtual game, nor are they a community that is going to accomplish vast amounts of good in the world. They're just people who like your videos enough to keep consistently watching. Nothing more. You're not some higher being for having a crowd of people watching you, nor are you inherently righteous or kind. If you can use your audience to help others, then good for you. But if that isn't your genuine outlook, don't act as if it is just to make excuses to yourself. For those already enraptured in the Markiplier mentality, it's too late. But for those of you who are debating on making YouTube channels, listen, be honest with yourself. If you think you're on some charitable quest by making crappy videos on the internet, you're retarded, and you know it. Find some joy in the process of actually making videos and take some pride in that in and of itself. It's okay to want fame too. I think everyone does to some extent. But if you go onto YouTube with the Markiplier mentality, you'll never stay motivated long enough to get the audience that you want so bad. Okay? Okay. Bye-bye!
Quality entertainment. Quality entertainment. Anyway.
Quality entertainment. Quality entertainment. Because when people think of Markiplier, they think of quality entertainment.